Okay, first lesson here in chapter 2, starting with lesson 2.1.1, and we're going to start looking at angle relationships. And the first few angle relationships we're looking at are complementary, supplementary, and vertical angles. As we work through the lesson, we should learn all three of those meanings. Before we get into it, make sure that you read each problem closely, take away all the vocab and all the definitions that you can, okay? Because this is really just a work guide trying to give some hints and giving some answers here or there on ones that are a little more tricky. Okay, so again, make sure you read every problem closely and take away all the definitions because we are going to use these angles, these angle relationships through the entirety of chapter 2. First question here. Already some vocab stuff here with the word vertex and how we write the measure of angle A. So written M angle A is not very possible to do on our keyboard. And so I'm going to show you how I'll write it in terms of this problem here. So what it says is since angle or triangle ABC is equilateral, we want to write an equation showing the relationship between all of its angles. Well, we know equilateral is all equal sides, and so this problem or this triangle is going to have all equal angles. And so again, I'm going to show you how we're going to write that because we're not going to be able to do M angle A. We are going to have to say measure of angle A equal to measure of angle B, which is equal to the measure of angle C. So we have to write it longhand, they get to write it shorthand, okay? Moving on, we have this point being rotated around that point A, so that we have these two triangles. It's saying how many angles can you find at point A? Are there more than 3? Okay? So one angle I see right away is BAB prime, and how I write that is angle BAB prime. I use the 3 letters to describe that angle. Okay? Now I will do one more. You can see that there is B prime AC, and that could be an angle. So angle B prime AC. Now that's the same angle as CAB prime, so we don't want to rewrite that one if we wanted to write CAB prime. Do not repeat angles. Okay, so there's 2 there. I'm going to leave you to find the rest. There should be 6 in total. So I gave you 2. There should be 4 more that you're able to find. Here we have another example of why we need to use 3 letters. And so they say that one of the angles is BAB prime. I want you to write out in the box, how do you write out that angle that is congruent to it? Okay, so again, use 3 letters and write out the angle that's congruent to BAB prime. Here we have big time vocab with the idea of complementary angles. So 2 angles whose measure have the sum of 90 degrees, meaning if you look here at angle ABC, that angle plus angle CBD, they create a 90-degree angle, and so those 2 angles are complementary. Okay? So then it's going to give us an example where they say, well, what happens if angle CBD is 76? You need to tell me, well, then if CBD is 76, how much or how big of the degree is ABC? Okay? Or what is the measure of ABC? Okay? And the answer will go down in the box. Here we get another big vocab, supplementary angles. So if the sum of the measure of the 2 angles is 180 or a straight line, then the angles are called supplementary. So LMP and then PMN, those 2 angles create a straight line. They create 180 degrees, so those 2 angles are supplementary. Again, they said, what if LMP is 62 degrees here? Then what is the measure of PMN, the other part of it here? Okay, and the answer goes in the box. Here we have, considering that these 2 lines are getting intersected, just crossing in some type of way. Okay, it's telling me that if x here, this angle AED, if that equals 23, then can we find every other angle here? And we can, because angle AED and angle AEC, these 2 angles create a straight line. So we can use our supplementary angle rules. And we can actually use our supplementary angle rules on every part of this, or every measure of every angle here, and we could get all our answers. Okay? So make sure that you work that problem. If you're confused by it, please ask me. I'm happy to work some more for you in individual videos. Now again, make sure you go all the way down and you read everything, because down here you can see we have another vocab word, vertical angle. So make sure you read and you work through this problem to understand what a vertical angle is. Here we're going to we're going to use that idea of vertical angle to help us solve the problem. And then we're going to write what they call a conjecture, a statement based on an educated guess that is unproven. So it's pretty much what you think, okay? And so you start with vertical angles are blank. What do you think? Vertical angles are always this. Vertical angles are this. Vertical angles are something, all right? So write a conjecture, an educated guess, what you think about vertical angles. Now we have practice here at the end. You can see that we have supplementary angles here, and so you need to find out what the angle of M and P is, because we have supplementary relationship here. Okay, so it's practice with supplementary. Here we have practice with congruent angles, because this portion down here is congruent to the portion up here. And we're going to try to solve, you're going to have to solve for x, and then plug x back in to find f, g, h. Here you have practice with complementary, okay, so ABD, that angle, plus DBC. If you add those two angles together and they're complementary, it should equal 90 degrees. So you can do the work on paper and then type your answer here, or you can do the work on here as well. Lastly, you have a little bit of supplementary angle stuff, a little bit of vertical angle stuff, and you need to figure out these missing angles. Okay, so you know again that LPQ, this angle LPQ, and the angle QPM, if you add them together, they create a straight line, which means they're supplementary. Which means if you add them together, they equal 180, and you can solve for x and start plugging things back in and solve for your missing angle measures. This one's a little challenging. If, again, you want more help, I can give you more help in individual videos. Lastly, learning log, just trying to put on paper, after the lesson is done, all the definitions we learned, all the key vocab we learned, and so we have it in one space, and when you write it down, it sticks a little bit longer. Okay? So if you have, again, questions, make sure you email me. I'm happy to make videos working through any problem in this lesson. It's a big one to understand because of all the vocab and how we use it throughout the rest of this chapter.